So we're about into about middle of March, and a couple weeks ago I went ahead and sprayed the apple, the pear tree, the lemon trees with horticultural oil. And now it's time to go ahead and it's been over 2 weeks, so it's time to go ahead and spray the copper fungicide on the fruit trees. So I got the sprayer set up, and we will go ahead and spray down these trees with the copper fungicide. And it's a good idea to get every little bit of the trees and branches. You have to get inside the little crevices, so you got to take your time on this. So we'll do that. Get down to the roots, get down to the sides. You got to be careful with the copper fungicide too, because it has a way of kind of staining stuff. So do that one, do this apple tree. Go ahead and pump this sprayer again. Can't remember if I got the sprayer over at Lowe's or Home Depot, but it's pretty inexpensive. They're not that pricey. And I got the 1 gallon one because I don't have that many fruit trees. I know some people will get the 2 gallon bottle sprayer, but you still got to lug around the 2 pounds of water. Plus, I don't have that many fruit trees to spray down every year, so there's really no point in me having a 2 gallon sprayer. So I avoid getting that one, and I just got the 1 gallon sprayer because that's more than enough spray for me. What I'll end up doing is because I'll have extra solution left over when this is all said and done, I'll go ahead and even spray the blueberry plants. It's kind of optional on the blueberry plants. Because I have the extra solution, I just go ahead and do it, but it's not really, for me itself, it's not really that necessary, but because I don't seem to have any issues with the blueberry plants, but because I have extra solution, I just go ahead and do that. Now, this one here is that pear tree, and this pear tree is actually a foreign one. I have 4 different varieties of pears on one tree. And the reason we have string on here is I'm trying to force the branches to lean and grow a certain direction. I want them to, be kind of like an umbrella and spread out. I don't want them crisscrossing or going into the center. So that's why I'm pulling them away from each other. Kind of have to do it early on before the branch actually gets too thick. But that's kind of the plan here. And it's always a good idea as you're spraying to kind of move around the tree branches. You want to get through every little crevice, because these moths and these bugs, they just will find any little spot that hasn't been sprayed and they will take advantage. And if we don't want this to get diseased and die, or get a bunch of bugs on here as we fruit, it's really important to do a proper spraying schedule. I know it's kind of a hassle sometimes for some of us to have to deal with the spraying of the horticulture oil, have to do the spraying of the copper fungicide, and then a couple weeks later we got to spray again with the neem oil, and finding time sometimes in our busy schedule and remembering to do it is just kind of a pain. But believe me, it's much easier to do this now than to deal with insect and bug problems later on as the weather gets warm. Anybody who's ever grown anything knows that it's such a pain with dealing with bugs after they've already arrived. So the proper maintenance is always the best way to go, bugs and fungicide. So go ahead and spray this one. Now this is an indoor one, and so it's not really indoors too much, so I'm not going to worry too much about spraying it too much. Just a light coating is more than fine. But since it'll be outside during the daytime, I'll just go ahead and spray it lightly. And this is the orange tree. Now, typically what I'll do with copper fungicide is I'll go ahead and spray twice a year. Once in the early spring before the foliage kind of really starts coming out, along with any sort of fruiting flowers. And then of course I'll spray in the fall right before the rain start. It's really important when you're spraying to spray before the rain starts. A lot of diseases and fungus and other things that kind of get onto your plants actually occur as it rains. And so you want to, for a preventative measure, you want to do these things before it starts raining. So when you know the rains are coming next week, or you kind of look at your schedule and see that the weather has dropped, and you look at your schedule and about a week out it shows that it's going to rain 2, 3, 4, or 5 days in a row, you'll go ahead and spray this. Now here in my zone 8B, it was kind of basically overnight. I took a look at the weather patterns and the weather report, and it was amazing. It went from sunny days every day or partly sunny days, and then all of a sudden the following week, every single day that next week showed that it was either fully raining or partly raining throughout the day. So I realized, hey, we've hit that, turned the corner, and obviously the rain is coming. And so a few days before the rain started coming throughout the whole entire next week, I went ahead and came out here and sprayed all the plants with the copper fungicide. So I did the spraying schedule for that. And I think there's an earlier video of me showing you the spraying schedule that I did in the fall, and explain that. But here we are in the springtime, and I had already sprayed these plants with the horticultural oil, the dormant spray during the dormant season, so it's still a little bit of frost. We're just getting out of the frost period, occasional days at night where it gets below freezing, but for the most part we're just squeaking out of the dormant season. Or just about to squeeze out of the dormant season, and then I sprayed it with the horticultural oil while the plants are dormant. And then I waited a couple weeks. You usually wait 2 to 3 weeks, and then you'll go ahead and spray your plants, your fruit trees and your blueberry plants with the copper fungicide. And you'll do that thoroughly 2 to 3 weeks after you do the previous spraying. Now once that is done, once you're done with the copper fungicide, the next spraying and the last spraying that I'll do for these plants will be the neem oil. That's more the insect repellent, and that's all natural. And you actually can spray with neem oil far more frequently throughout the season. So what you'll do is anytime you see a problem, or maybe once a month, you'll come through here at a minimum and spray your trees. Now for me, I usually like to keep these covered as much as possible, and so maybe at night I'll still cover this. If I don't, I'll come through here once a month and just go ahead and spray it with a little bit of neem oil when I'm actually spraying my my tomato plants. So I spray my tomatoes and peppers and jalapenos with neem oil, and I'll go ahead and do the same thing with these plants once a month. So that's about it. I'll be back in about 2 to 3 weeks with the neem oil spray. Talk to you guys later.